and I'm the host of Refocused with Lindsay Guentzel, the brand new podcast with ADHD Online.
I'm Keith Boswell. I'm the Vice President of Marketing at ADHD Online. I also go by Boz because I report to a Keith Brophy.
And we both have ADHD, so this could take a while. No, but in all seriousness, it is so great to get to share the story behind the podcast.
It is, because it's still, some days I feel like it's a dream that we're here. We were just talking about it, and this whole thing just kind of manifested itself. I mean, it was like something we wanted to do. We found out it was something you wanted to do. I think the thing that really stood out to me too, when we previewed the names to you, and you focused in on Refocused, at the time I didn't know why it meant so much to you. And now I think as we're going, it really makes sense why it stood out. And that's just been an awesome part of the collaboration, is how easy it's all kind of come together.
It has felt so easy at times, almost to a point where you're a little concerned. You're like, well, what's the catch?
Right. Yeah, it's not typical. I mean, just even the way that our paths crossed, right? I mean, we were producing content for our blog. One of our writers reached out to you. We saw a draft of that article. Claudia on my team said, Lindsay looks amazing. I looked her up online. We've got to reach out to her. And here we are.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, and that's been only a few months, really, in the scheme of things. And we've launched a podcast together. And I don't know, it felt like paths crossing at the right time, with the right intention, for the right reasons.
It's so interesting that it has only been a couple of months. I looked back. So what happened was there's a website called Help a Reporter Out, and my background in journalism, I use it all the time to find sources. And there was a request for someone to share their experience with binge eating and ADHD. And I was newly diagnosed, but again, having ADHD, I have no filter. I'm an open book. I mean, I was just like, yeah, this is me. I can share stuff. And I sent off an email and never heard anything. I assumed if they wanted to talk to me more, they would call. And then out of the blue, I get this email from Claudia on your team, and we set up a couple of meetings. And I think it was in the second meeting where someone said, well, what are your career goals? And I just felt really comfortable with you all. Now, keep in mind, it's all virtual. I'm based in Minnesota. You guys are in Michigan. And I just kind of let it out there. I was like, I've always wanted to do a podcast about mental health, but I've just never felt like I knew the path to go with it. Mm-hmm. And so for me, sitting here and having a podcast about ADHD, working with you guys, collaborating with you, I mean, we have such similar mindsets about what our goals are. And I think that is the part that we all connected on. It was kind of like sitting in that first couple of meetings, like, I like you guys. Do you like me? Are we going to do this?
It was very much like that. And I think you mentioned that, and we mentioned we had been talking about doing a podcast. But again, in the scheme of things for us, it was one of those, we dreamed of doing it, but how would we get it done? And so it's just been so exciting. I mean, it's been interesting for me too. I mean, you've shared your journey. I started at ADHD Online undiagnosed. I'd had a therapist previously suggest I might have ADHD, but I didn't really believe them for whatever reason. And I think even after we started talking to you, I don't think I was diagnosed yet. And so it's been very interesting. I mean, in some ways, the podcast is a little bit of, we've joked about it, but it's a little bit of side therapy for me too, because I get to learn along with our patients, because I'm new to this journey. I mean, it's totally unlocked a whole new understanding of myself that I didn't know about, so.
I have to remind myself during every interview that I can't just ask the questions that relate back to my life. It has to be much broader. But, I've been asked a lot what the goal is with the podcast. And I think it sounds completely cliche, and I totally understand how cliche it sounds. But my diagnosis was so life-changing. And when you mentioned, why I was so driven to the title Refocused, it feels like I get to refocus. It feels like I have spent my entire career not quite knowing where I was going, but knowing what I enjoyed doing. And now here's this opportunity, and I actually have the tools and the resources and the understanding to stick with it.
Right.
And I will say, you guys have provided the most compassionate work environment. I mean, we've had setbacks. Like the launch of the podcast was postponed because I had COVID, and there have been other hiccups that I'm learning along the way. And my old workaround of hiding it and feeling ashamed and feeling like I needed to lie about something that was not worth lying about, you guys have just made this collaboration and this partnership such an open space, and it truly has changed how I approach things, because I know I can come to you and I can say, hey, this isn't working right now, or I need more time on this, and you guys are like, yeah, do what you need to do. How can we help? And that to me is someone with ADHD who has spent their entire life masking and hiding and overcompensating because of fear of failure, to go to a team who doesn't know you. Like, we've literally just met in
Today.
February. Well, yeah, we met in person
today.
today. We have been virtual since February, which is not a very long time. To have you guys say, how can we help? Oh man, it has just been such a game changer.
It's been a game changer for us too. And I think, as a company, a lot of people have asked me, like, what's your intent with the podcast too? And I've said, it's to contribute to the community. And that does sound cliche, but it's real. I mean, the great thing is, we're not telling you what to say, right? I mean, we've really kind of said, like, this is your podcast. We're part of it. And that's an unusual place to be as a brand.
Oh, yes.
I feel like, because, again, to your point, we haven't known each other that long, and yet there was a trust that we built early on in that working relationship where it was like, we're in this together, and we've got patients that needed you, we needed you, you needed us, and it kind of just worked out. And that, to me, is what's so exciting about it, I think, because we're not putting boundaries on it yet. We're really just saying, let's put this out there, let's do something for the good and see what comes of it. And so far, it's been really well received. I mean, just the energy that it's added to our team is fantastic. And the things that we're hearing from patients and others, it's just very exciting.
There's this moment that happens every time someone emails or sends a tweet, or we even had another podcast give us a shout out the other day, and I get really excited because it's something I'm so passionate about, but I get so uncomfortable because I don't know how to accept that. But there's something about people saying to you, what you're putting out there is helping me, or it's making me understand my partner better, or I've never heard of rejection sensitive dysphoria, and now I understand myself a little bit better. And it can sound cliche. I'm okay if everyone thinks like it is so cliche, but if we can provide that outlet for one person to start asking questions and know more about themselves and understand themselves better, like that's it is worth all of it.
I agree. I mean, I've worked in marketing my whole career, and it doesn't always have the best rap, right? I mean, we're trying to influence people to do something. In this case, I feel like the influence I'm trying to affect is for a net positive. So I'm not selling someone something I don't believe in. And so much of what I get to do in marketing is something like this. It's not focused on selling. It is about giving. I tell people all the time, part of my goal with what we're doing, because we're a virtual company, I almost want it to feel like when you get to us, like we're here with a cup of coffee and a hey, let's sit for a while. Because we know, like, you've probably been on a long road to get here. And there's a lot of understanding. And so it's very interesting because we're in this like rush world, and everything's digital, and we're a digital company, and yet, so it's kind of weird to be in this mode where we're trying to tell people like, hey, it's okay, sit back. And it's same with the assessment. Take it on your time. We're not in a hurry now. We'll get in a hurry when it's time to be. But there's so much to learn, so.
You kind of find your people.
Yeah, you do.
All right, we're getting the wrap-up signal. I told you it was going to be long. So here's where I get to do the shameless plug. If you have not yet subscribed to Refocus with Lindsay Guentzel, you can find it on all of your podcast platforms. Thank you, Mom, for subscribing on all of them and leaving us very nice reviews. It was very nice of you. And if you haven't listened yet, there are a ton of episodes in the bank for you to just dive on through, and we have so much more amazing content coming your way.
Yep.